Terrorists, your game is through. 'Cause now you have to answer to America. Fuck yeah, so lick my blood and suck on my America. Fuck yeah. Reporting live from Studio 1776. This is Auditory Osmosis with your hosts, Ether Hawkins and Nicholas Ritter.
Hello.
Welcome, folks.
What's up, man?
Well, I'm celebrating the 3rd of July. Many people are excited for the 4th, but I got to tell you, we've relocated.
America!
We're in the middle of a war zone right now. You may hear some shells go off in the background throughout this broadcast. This area has been sanctioned for freedom.
This is the freedom.
Hey, man, what did it be not free if you were saying? Shut up, Jerry. Shut up, Jerry.
Jerry, get down. Get down.
The sanctioning is for the freedom. We're trying to keep out chaos.
I mean, we still have to protect ourselves with these AR-15s you put in my hand, man. You gave me 2 AR-15s, I'm going to be like Roman Atwood shooting his 4th of July bot rockets or whatever he was shooting.
And we finally have press passes so we can go anywhere in the war zone.
We are wherever we want to be now.
But you know, I love this place. Studio 1776.
Freedom, you know?
Exactly.
America.
And you know what? Freedom isn't free.
It's not free, you know. If we don't pitch in our $1.05, who will?
I was really, over the last few, I would say 48 hours, actually. The last few 48 hours, the sequence of 48 hours.
Was that like 48 hours?
I was thinking about a rebuttal, and now that our guest is gone, I just want to make a little rebuttal when he was talking about, this is how I do it. Now that Mr. Sam is gone and he can't talk, I get to hog the airwaves with my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully he comes back.
He was our guest, so we have no. It's just viewpoints.
Well, when he was talking about how Christianity centralized morality and ideas and values and just social etiquette, he said it was we moved away from pagan tradition and polytheism or pantheism. Well, I just want to say to you, Mr. Sam, we're now back in the realm of pagan tradition because today, Hollywood created a new brand of pantheism by illuminating the silver screen with lesser and higher art forms. These art forms, they structure new associations, cognitive connections, and paint new fields of awareness for the masses. Like the Roman gods that had been lesser or higher archetypes that embodied, diversifying this field of awareness, they embodied material and spiritual reasoning for the plebeian. See, today, movies act as metaphors or mythic forms, which bring specialized perspectives to life for commoners. Movies tend to consciously and unconsciously communicate, encode and decode, our point of view as process and establish ground rules for the commoner's worldly and spiritual relationships. That's my rebuttal.
Basically, you're saying it's we have, instead of a god now, or a random god, or one of the, was it 13 Greek gods or something more I don't remember the number, but we have something to put it into human form now.
Right. Instead of pure faith,
it's people that we see on TV or that Kim Kardashian or whoever you hold very highly because of their whatever,
Right. Instead of pure faith. I mean, you have to have faith to believe or think these figures that you see through the screen because they're crafted images. We've covered this. But yeah, if you think about it, these idols, the pop stars, if you will, they are taking over. They're bringing us back into that decentralized pagan tradition because instead of Aphrodite, you have Madonna, Lady Madonna. the pop star.
Maybe Medusa, Madonna.
But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Right. I had a little incorrect. I had to correct my error. How's that?
All right.
When I said we were talking about gluten in the food episode, glutamic acid is not what the body is allergic to or becomes, develops an intolerance to. We'll say it's not glutamic acid. Glutamic acid actually is monosodium glutamate. It was made in a factory, but it's glutamine or It's either, well, it could be glutamamine also. I can't remember exactly, but glutamine is one of the things that people are developing those intolerances. And again, celiac disease is one of those things that actually you shouldn't eat gluten if you have celiac disease. But other things that people say they're allergic to gluten, it actually sometimes, again, like we were saying, fibromyalgia for women is a big thing because when you
motorcycle go fast.
Yeah, it's a war zone, man. They're shooting and driving fast, and it's crazy. Anyway, so when women say they're intolerant to gluten, they could have it's a intolerance to anything that makes inflammation, because inflammation could really, I guess it could hurt anybody. But
Science and Allergies.
Yeah.
With Nicholas Ritter. But, you know, they say don't rock the bandwagon. So we're glad you cleared that up, because I think you were rocking the bandwagon. So many people want to. But, you know, we were talking about, start off last episode with the very first traffic fatality with an automated vehicle. I found out that he was watching, and this is morbidly hilarious. He was watching Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Well, his vehicle that he named Tessie, by the way.
Right. And you know what I think is you may have had to come up with a hack to maybe even make that DVD work while you were driving. I could be wrong.
Well, I just thought about how life handed him a reality check, except for he never really got to reflect on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he was watching a movie and his automated vehicle flew into a semi. People, keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah,
don't
just
hand
drive.
over your.
Just freaking drive your car. That's what they're made for, to drive. That's why it's cool to drive your car.
Be responsible out there on 4th of July. And I just wanted to break in talking about the
America!
Safety car.
Fuck yeah!
Well, I was watching a lecture, and somebody pointed out in the 60s. Bucky Fuller pointed out that the space capsule was the very first man-made environment designed to anticipate all responses. So basically, all consequences of all maneuvers are anticipated by design. It's a complete artificial environment. Like, you know how they say you can't take it with you? Well, if you're going into space, you got to take Earth with you.
You have to.
So this professor, and you will go unnamed, was relating that artificial...
Can we give him a fake name? Like Professor Robert?
Professor Bonkerpants.
Bonkerpants. Professor Bonkerpants was saying what now?
Was relating Bucky Fuller's statement. And remember, Bucky Fuller is known for his tetrahedron sustainable housing projects that never really got the go-ahead. He made himself a home, and he sold and designed homes for people interested in the idea. Now NASA is exploring the tetrahedron and geometric sustainable environments. Basically, you build a house with proportionate geometry to keep the atmosphere going. It self-perpetuates. It's sustainable living, basically. And they want to use that to colonize space. But anyways, Professor Bonkerpants, he was saying that mentality of the space capsule will translate eventually to the vehicle. And so this idea that our cars and our artificial environments have to have all consequences and maneuvers be anticipated by design, he said the car will eventually become a padded cell as we run with the idea of the safety car. And he was saying this in the 60s, and I just thought how correct he is, that all of our innovations have been to turn the car into a padded cell where we can't be harmed by the actual use of the vehicle. And he was saying that this mentality started with the idea that we can actually build an environment that can anticipate all consequences of each maneuver, which is basically what an automated system is doing today. It's anticipating everything. Just a little tidbit I thought I'd relate to our first conversation.
Maybe a lot of it. Anyway, so what are you doing for America's Freedom Day tomorrow? You know, America's birthday. Who, by the way, wasn't even an American, or wasn't even a name that was from an American person, or I guess
you ever watch those videos where a street journalist goes on the street, kind of like Jay Leno's bits where he would ask people easy questions and they couldn't remember the answer, or they couldn't relay the answer? Well, I was watching somebody interviewing people in like California being like, what is the reason we celebrate 4th of July for? And people, and some of them just couldn't remember like the name of the country we committed revolution against. Exactly. They couldn't remember England. They couldn't remember 1776. They couldn't name founding fathers.
Wow, really?
I'm
not surprised. I'm not surprised, I guess.
And just seeing some of that, it's funny how they might know the name of a pop star, but they don't know the reason why they're celebrating the 4th of July.
Right.
But what am I doing? Yeah. I'm going to be grilling, spending time with family, tending the land, watching the grass grow, and maybe do a little swimming, light a little fireworks. We are in a war zone after all.
The pool's open now, huh?
Yeah, the pool's open, ready to swim.
I'm just getting shot at around. Yeah, I mean, you're in like this kind of new
little
bunker
foxhole
thing. Yeah, it's like a foxhole for sure. You put me like above ground, and I'm really like trying to dodge these shots. I don't know. I just hear it and kind of freak out every time.
Well, that's why I gave you one of those UN surplus helmets. See, I'm just down here sipping on some tea, actually some tropical green tea by Mighty Leaf. Shout out to Mighty Leaf.
Ooh.
It is delicious.
It sounds really good.
And actually, here, I'm going to hand you binoculars if you want these in case you just take those.
Cool. Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, you know.
Thanks for the binoculars, man.
Yeah, just stay vigilant up there. If anything happens to you, I know I have to really hunker down, you know.
Thanks.
What are you doing for the 4th?
I'm celebrating freedom. You know?
Yeah, freedom isn't free. It's something we can't stress enough here at Auditory Osmosis.
You know, especially on the day of an Italian man's last name, America.
Yep, and I can't wait to light off some fireworks myself. We actually, I suppose, I don't know if I can air this.
Are you leaving? You don't have to be out here tomorrow?
Well, I'll be here. Let's just say we cross the border for some browsing.
Is that why that really nice helicopter just landed about 20 minutes ago and you were like really hyped that he was here?
Maybe.
I knew it. You're leaving me here again, aren't you?
Well, look, I'm going to leave after. You're going to hold down the fort.
I'm in the field. I'm in the field. Yeah.
Out here in the field. We fight for what's real.
Out here in the field.
I just want that.
Well, that's cool. Playing. Like, just play that the whole time you're gone? Are you coming back? Or
just keep it in the back of your head because I think I'm going to take the machines and the equipment, so I don't know if you'll be able to play it for real out here, but stay safe. If you look in the medicine kit,
Should
I
I
have
charge?
matches, band-aids, and some I think some type of bacteria in case you cut yourself, antibacteria agent.
Neosporin?
No, it's some off-brand. I couldn't afford
Shoot.
that. So, but you'll be all right out here.
Why'd you pay for that helicopter, man?
The helicopter? If you go on Craigslist, actually, you can find some reasonable drivers. But
Shout out to Craigslist, by the way. Shout out to Craigslist. We just want you to understand we use you.
We use you for many services. Well, what do you doing after you get out of this place? You'll have to celebrate 4th of July on your own time. When you get that time, what are you going to do? I'll be sleeping in after 4th of July, and it's back to work.
Work?
Hit the radio.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. I'll probably go back to my real work and cook a bunch of food.
Are you going to have time? I know you requested a few days off, and I said, well, we're going to be, in studio 177666, and I don't know if you'll be able to celebrate 4th of July. You can vent, you can air out all that hot air that's been kind of bloating you up.
In the field. I'm just still listening to that song, man. It's like inspiring.
Yeah, and is there any special celebratory things I should pay attention to while I'm back in the States?
What? You're going back to the States?
Just for a night.
You're fucking lying to me, man. I don't like it. Well, it's cool, man. I told you I'm out here. I'll take one for the team, all right? I'll let you go, back to the States, and I'll just stay out here. It's just Studio 1776, kind of like the coolest place I've ever been, except for it's really loud and scary.
That's what a war zone is. Loud and scary.
But I have some cool guns. Is that why you gave me your gun? You're leaving. You're leaving. Shoot.
Only for a night.
Can you charge my phone before you leave? Yeah, give me the cord.
I can do that. Yeah.
Hand the cord real quick. All right. Thanks. I'm going to charge my phone a bit. It's crazy up here, man. Do you hear these gunshots?
I don't.
They're everywhere, man.
So what do you think about anything? Like what's on your mind?
Ooh.
Just start shooting off topics.
Something.
Because
something.
The real purpose of Zen is to have nothing at all in your head.
It's kind of what I am right now.
4th of July brings that out in me personally.
Yeah.
I usually have no worries because on the 4th I can sit back, relax.
I can tell you first. How about here's a little story. Okay, so right now, as the sun's going down, about we'll say 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was driving. You know what? It was probably 12 years ago. We'll say 12 years ago. I was driving north from Texas to Minnesota. Okay, and again, about this time, I was in Kansas. On the Kansas Turnpike, so I was basically halfway to Minnesota from Texas, and I got pulled over for driving too fast. Right? Cop walks up to the window and says, first thing he says is, "Oh, you like to smoke weed, huh?"
Hey!
I looked and I was just like, "Yes, sir, I do." He's like, "I'm happy you didn't lie to me." Because there's a bunch in your lap. I had these pants on, right? They're like those old school, like Adidas, cotton track pants that you would have, but the snap away, that would come all the way off. But they had this certain fiber or something that weed would stick to it if you're rolling in your lap or whatever, So he like took me to his car, and he's like, well, actually, we were walking to his car, and he's like, why don't you just step in my car real quick? Cause like, oh shit, like no, he's like in the front as I was walking to it. So I sat down in the front, and I was like, oh okay, I'm not going to jail yet. And he starts reading me my rights. You had the right to remain silent. I was like, whoa, stop. I was like, you're not taking me to jail, are you? He's like, no, this is just in case you have like a pound or 10 pounds or something in the back of the car. I'm like, okay. He's like, tell me where all your stuff is. After he reads me my rights, he goes and finds it. Mind you, I'm not even 21 yet, so I'm 20. And he opens the trunk, lifts up the 24 pack of Coronas, and then like looks underneath it, puts the Coronas down, and he's like, I'm glad you told me the truth tonight. I bet you don't. And I told him the whole story about how it's my grandma's birthday, and I was like, he's like, I'm glad you told me the truth tonight. You don't want to go to jail 3rd of July, the day before the 4th of July.
When all the drunks are in jail.
In Kansas, in the middle of Kansas, when you're supposed to be at your grandma's birthday. I was like, no, sir, I don't. He's like, drive safe. I was like, no way.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it was
Yeah, I can't believe that. But I do believe it.
I'm
but
not
I can't believe it.
It was crazy. I can't believe he did that.
No, that is just out of control.
He took my weed, man. Anyway. So that's what's on my mind. I don't know.
Several gunshots up there, man.
I'm telling you, it's kind of scary up here.
That's why I gave you that surplus UN helmet. It's safe,
cool.
All right.
I ain't gonna lie to you, it's pretty cool. Hang on 1 second. I gotta duck down. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm back. Wow.
You all right?
It's crazy up here, man. Why don't you come up
So I
here?
was thinking to myself now.
Hey, self.
And, if you really think about it, we used to think that the earth was flat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I began to start pondering during these sleepless, restless nights I experience out here in Studio 1776. And I was thinking to myself, somebody must have hid that from the people back then. Like, I think whoever had the knowledge of knowing that the earth is actually round wanted folks to stay inside the city limits. And they said, don't you go out exploring now, you hear? Because there's bears, tigers, lions, and you might, if you sail too close to the sun,
even dire wolves. They're just like wolves, but they're dire.
And Balverines and all the fables, you got going on in these poor people's heads. They told them, don't you sail too close to the sun now, you hear, because you might fall off the edge. And now, don't you think that's just a scare tactic like that? That's the primitive way that the upper class, or maybe the priest class back then, kept knowledge hidden. And I was thinking about how if the earth was flat, people wouldn't want to be traveling. So maybe these, whoever created humankind told them that the earth was flat. And they knew the earth was round, but they wanted to keep them a slave class, right?
It's crazy up here, man.
And that is where I'm at today. Somebody along the way, maybe Jesus, maybe a Jesus Christ led man out of the tyranny of the flat earth lie, the flat earth fallacy. And perhaps ever since we left the BC and we started living life in the AD, in the 3D AD, I think we've began to see things more 4D because we've left the idea that the earth was flat. So humankind has been liberating itself ever since we found out, thanks to, who was it?
50.
Copernicus or Galileo?
Capaganaperus, Nicholas Copernicus.
All those really hard names that I have trouble pronouncing due to my accent. I just want to say that I think humans have been on the path to true freedom ever since Christ appeared upon the earth.
That's real nice of you, man.
And maybe this 4th of July, we should take some time to think about how far we've come along now, you hear?
Jesus.
And y'all sit down next to the fire, maybe tell a few stories of your own, and maybe ask the elders if they have any forbidden knowledge. And if you can maybe take a bite of an apple like good old Eve did and come up with a product as good as the iPhone.
Every picture I ever saw of her, man, she had a belly button. Why is that?
That's because she was born from, I believe, the loin region of a man mammal.
All right. That's crazy.
And when God clipped that umbilical cord, she had that there belly button down underneath, right above the sacral chakra.
Nope. I don't know what that means.
I mean, you're from Texas, man.
Right.
People down there, how do they celebrate the 4th?
Well, as far as I can remember, we'd go to the kind of like a state fair, or not a state fair, like a county fair or whatever. And the Beach Boys would always be there. This was at
Man, I love the Beach Boys.
They're awesome, man.
One of the few bands you can play with the whole kids. You saddle up and you get in the old 57 Ford. You put down the top. You head towards the shore, right? And you got your missus next to you. And you put in that tune, round, round, get around. I get around. I get around.
That's a great one, man.
I get around. Get around. And you got the kids in the back doing the back chorus, and you got the missus up front, and you really feel like a man.
It's true.
I love the Beach Boys, man. But tell me more. So the Beach Boys were playing down there in Texas.
They'd always play it like what was it?
The Surfer Shop.
They call it the Bedford Boys Ranch, and it's basically just a.
That ain't a pedophile ring, is it now?
No, it sounds really weird, doesn't it? That's what I thought when I moved down there too. But it's like a big building where you can just do a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of land. It's
like a field house where you play track and field.
It's hard to explain it. It's like a city thing, but there's a bunch of shit to do there, and a lot of people go. But it's also like a park, and it's basically a big rec center. We'll say that. But there's a park. There's ducks to feed. You can go fishing there. All sorts of different stuff, like from outdoors to indoors and stuff like that. And so there's a ton of land. Well, it's kind of like a little. We'll say I couldn't even tell you how much. Maybe 100 acres, and then that's where we have the fireworks and all that stuff. So
now, like when it comes to the fireworks and stuff down there in Texas, the good TX, how's the legality on them mortars and those shells that shoot? They shoot high up into the sky and make all the gunpowder boom.
It's just like here.
So they're actually illegal.
It's just like in Minnesota.
Well, because like in Minnesota, we can't get those Wisconsin type fireworks, and we have to get what are they called? The cats, the screaming cats, or the whistling Dixies, the little sparklers.
You mean to tell me standing there, owning a fireworks shop, you ain't got no Husker Doos or Husker Dunks? You ain't got no black cats? You ain't got nothing that goes boom?
No, we just got ourselves a few sparklers, and we're within the Minnesota statutes of don't blow your arm off law.
Snakes and sparklers? Man, why do you like snakes and sparklers?
I tell you what, you get yourself a few sparklers, and you down a jug of whiskey, and you'll see snakes.
Well, there's your problem, man. It's not about you. It's about the consumer.
How many DUIs do you think occur over the 4th of July holiday here in America?
A lot? How's that? We're not.
I mean,
you're back in America?
No, I'm talking about in America.
Oh.
And when I say here in America, I'm talking about the real America, not the area that's been sanctioned off.
I can't see you through the
You're
hole
at
in the
Studio
floor anymore. You left, didn't you, man?
1776. Well, I'm not saying I did or didn't. I'm just saying that in America, I think that the drunken capital of the world has to be also the firework capital of the world.
China?
Well, see, now you're conflicting two different species of things. You got the freedom place, and then you got the not so free place.
Why they have so many fireworks in, man?
They invented gunpowder, but Americans perfected it for recreational purposes.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we take everything for recreational purposes. We drive cars for recreational purposes.
Yeah.
We eat food for recreational purposes.
True.
We go on to Facebook for recreational. We ain't using none of that. Talk to your family. We just like to.
Man.
We're nosy. This is the place where you can be nosy and you can eat all the food you want, and no one's going to bat an eye because we're the land of the free, home of the brave.
Stars and damn stripes, man.
And the stars and the stripes mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but I know deep down in my heart and in my belly area where I get those intuitive feelings. I think they called, I reckon, gut feelings. I know deep down in the gut bacteria region where all the little critters break down the food, I know that America is the only place in the world where we can do a show like this, put it on the interwebs, and share it with all these other Americans. And not only will we get likes and views, but people will leave comments. And in the comment section, you get relative things like freedom isn't free.
It's not free, man.
And you get a lot of cute little memes. And just America in general, in the Stars and Stripes, not only represent the original colonies, but they also represent candy cane colors.
Mm-hmm.
And candy canes remind me of Christmas. And Christmas reminds me of presents. And so freedom and presents are two things that I like.
They go hand in hand, man.
It's a marriage in America of doing what you want and getting away with it.
I like that. That's true, man.
That's a doctrine right there. It's free.
Freedom.
You can exercise it. You have the freedom to exercise your freedoms. How about that?
You know, it's freedom. You have the freedom to exercise freedom. That's crazy, man. That's so deep. So deep. Just like the hole that you're in right now, and I'm getting shot at. So deep. You
familiar with those tunnels that them their Mexican cartels, they all dig around trying to get underneath our border?
I knew you were back in America already. How did you do that?
That I had myself an escape route, and I'm back here, back in the States. And yeah, I hate to tell you, partner, but I reckon you're going to be there for about the next 48 hours.
You gave me a hand-drawn map, man.
In a little treasure chest. If you look down there in the right corner, you'll see an X, and I guarantee you now, X marks the spot.
Right. Hang on, man.
Now, what did I tell you I like more than anything else in the world? I like freedom and presents. Now, you have the freedom to go chase those presents I left for you.
You also like macaroni and cheese.
That's if you don't get blown up out there.
That's crazy. You like macaroni and cheese too, though.
I don't like the Kraft macaroni and cheese.
No, you like the shells, like Velveeta.
I don't like that either, man.
You lie. You told me it was your like guilty pleasure, man.
I like homemade sit on the pot or wait here. Boiling down in the kettle because you sit on the pot after.
Mm-hmm.
But you boil it down in the kettle for a good like 6 hours, and you slow cook them noodles, and you get off all that starch there. You rinse off that, and you throw it back into the pot. And I like to get myself some real cheeses hand grated in, and I take about a 12-hour process just to get myself some real good, almost grandma-esque macaroni and cheese.
That's nice, man.
What are some of the staple foods that you reckon folks will be eating tomorrow? I mean, I think they're going to be having some hamburgers, some hot dogs. Maybe they're going to be shooting off some of their guns.
Ribs.
They're going to be lighting. Oh, they're going to be
Barbecue
eating
ribs.
Mm.
Baked beans, some corn on the cob. Definitely watermelon.
Oh,
Watermelon. Sounds really good right now.
Man, some fresh picked berries. It's berry season out here in the Midwest.
They're very good too. I made it funny. Anyway,
and tomorrow people can accompany their day with a little bit of radio, and they can sit around and enjoy the 4th like we're enjoying the 3rd. Well, you're going to be enjoying looking for those presents out there in the desert, but
I want to be on the lake, man. That'd be sweet.
I might be on the lake. I'll send you some Snapchats or maybe some tweet out some Twitters.
Yeah, the twatters. That's right. Yeah, that's cool, man. I want to see some pics. Send me those pics.
And I actually, the other day, I was out snooping around the town, and
I knew it.
The American Legion now, they've been back in my town's 4th of July celebration for probably the last, I'd say about 7 years.
Wow.
And I went to go take a gander at that 1860 style baseball game being played out there in my hometown.
Yeah. How was
and
that?
I'll let you know. I thought it was brilliant. It was like a time capsule. I was listening to some 50s and some 60s rock and roll, and I was driving, just me and the missus and the kids. And I got to the high school field, and when I got up to the actual ticket gate, I saw policemen, but they were just riding bicycles. And, it's good to see kind of a non-aggression pack, because we both kind of pump our chests up when we make eye contact and we have gorilla-like encounters.
Yeah.
And the police, they really like to puff up that badge, and I really like to puff up my pocketbook. And we see who backs down, but not these police. These police were just riding bikes and, just observing and absorbing the town folk and all the good, kind people out there with many gestures, selling beer and hot dogs and burgers outside of this 1860 style baseball game. So,
awesome.
I paid for the kids about $5 a piece, $5 a head, and we got in, and they had an old time announcer umpire. So the thing about 1860 style baseball is primarily they do not use gloves, and actually they don't ever think about using gloves. The umpire, the catcher, the first baseman, the pitcher, the outfield, you get the story. They don't wear gloves. But here's the trick. See, you can now, if a batter, and mind you, it's a gentleman's sport, so they're pitching underhand. And it's all about driving that ball, not home runs, because you can catch and get a batter out off the first bounce. So if you knock one of those boys out into, let's say, left field, the left fieldsman, he can let that ball drop once and catch it off the bounce, and you're still out. And that's the 1860 style deviation from the new regulation rules. But I have a theory about that. I think having that rule where you can catch the ball, instead of a pop fly you're out, you can catch it off the bounce, it speeds up innings. And not having gloves makes for a a more reckless game, kind of more entertaining. But if you think about it, if they wanted to make money off of America's pastime, and before the gridiron sport of football, the American pastime was baseball, and we all know that if we are familiar with our American history.
True.
And they initiated some type of league, and they said you gotta play with proper bats and balls. You gotta play with a catcher's mitt. You gotta play with gloves. So they made everything more expensive. They made money off of these baseball farmers playing ball, and then they said you cannot catch it now that you got these fancy gloves. You cannot catch it off the bounce. So innings lasted longer, so the vendors could sell more food, and they jacked the ticket prices up, and they started to capitalize on America's pastime, and that's a real shame. And I just wanted to say that after seeing for my own eyes an 1860 style baseball game, I think I now realize and recognize why Americans enjoyed the pastime of baseball. And nowadays, it's too corporate for my liking.
This isn't even Mr. Hawkins, is it? Is this his brother? I heard you were like coming up from the south.
And
You're not even in the studio anymore. I knew it.
Mr. Hawkins had to leave, and once he kind of gave the reins over.
Damn it! You got me.
Well, listen here now.
I was down there. I wish I wasn't out here in this part of the studio, dude. It's kind of freaking me out.
All you got to do is go down that rabbit hole, and you'll find, like I said, a little hole and goes down a submarine. You get under there. It's about a 2-day journey. Now, going back to the 1860s style baseball, they didn't even have umpires or people to bat an eye on if he was safe or not, right? So it was a gentleman's sport. The first baseman and the batter, once they made contact and tagged, it was all up to them. It was a man's word. And, we don't have too much of that. We're so used to Big Brother watching over us and always trying to decide for us what is best for the game.
Mm-hmm.
But back then in the 1860s, you didn't have that. It was a gentleman's game. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. The kids liked it. And it was a real hoot.
I'm glad you got to go to that. I guess that was probably a good time.
Well, and some other differences, just to clarify for the listeners out there visualizing this style of baseball. We had skinnier bats, and the ball, which a few companies make them still. There's still a demand from the historical societies. They are in between the size of a softball and a traditional regulation size baseball. So if you can visualize that, you're hitting that ball underhanded, and you're using a skinnier bat. And the game I happened to watch was a historical society union of baseball players, all ages, versus the Forest Lake High School.
That's great.
And, youth took over, and, those older gentlemen from the historical society, they just didn't have the hustle to really keep the Forest Lake team on their toes. So the Forest Lake Brewers walked away with about a 13-4 victory.
Wow. I mean,
But I am glad I got to go and enjoy that on a fine Saturday with the kids and the missus.
That's cool. Now I get the context clues, all right? You're probably both going to some fucking really cool 4th of July thing. Probably rented out some lake and, I don't know, Texas somewhere or something. You guys are going to have so much fun tomorrow, huh?
Well, we're going to have a little bit of fun, but, Mr. Ether Hawkins, he's taking a nap now, and hopefully when he wakes up, I'll relay the message to you, and he may text you or something and make sure you're all right.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. What else we have to talk about, Mr. Hawkins' brother?
Well, we like to have a little bit of fun here every now and then, so we like to throw on different voices but I don't know. I'm pumped for the 4th of July, and I didn't have a lot of material coming into this episode 13,
Me neither.
but we're chilling and grilling.
I did a wedding last night, all right? So it's a typical wedding. They wanted a buffet of food and blah blah blah, right? And then they also wanted what we call late night snacks.
Little hors d'oeuvres, pizza or something.
What they wanted pizza at they wanted 12 pizzas at 11:30 or 11 o'clock at night, basically, because it was supposed to be at 10, and then they finally got their cake cut at 10, and then they sat around and so 11 o'clock is when I served the pizzas. Out of the pizzas that I was supposed to put out, 5 slices were eaten.
Wow.
5 slices.
Were they dancing or anything to burn off their wedding party meal?
After, it was like the perfect ratio for me not to have to cook for. Okay, so it was.
But you had to sit there and just wait until the pizza was taken back.
Yeah, and so I would have to do like 2 at a time, basically, and then so you're thinking the whole time they're gonna eat the pizza, they're gonna jump on it eventually. They never did. We ended up turning up the lights, and people were like, "Oh, there's pizza." Like the people that were there were just drunk and 26 or 28, right? And
just soaking it up.
And there was only 20, 25 people left by the time we put that pizza out. Everybody else had left because 60 or 70% of them were older people. We'll say 20% of them were mid-aged couples with very young children. So everybody left early except for this, 20 or 30% or whatever of the people there, and they didn't even they didn't touch anything. It was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, bad night.
Yeah, I've noticed too. Some of the younger crowds, it goes both ways, but I've noticed a divide. Back when I would participate in these wedding events, some of them would dance. Other wedding parties would be just humdrum, just getting boozed up and for some reason staying near tables.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I don't know.
Do some of these young folks they don't have rhythm or blues in their body?
Yeah, some people just can't dance.
Well, I can see that, but I mean, I suppose it's a social thing too. Some people are shy. I can get grooving to a 50s bebop tune, and out in public, I would never dance to something like that.
You can dance if you want to. We can leave our friends behind.
Right.
Because if friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine.
Would it be nice if we could do this daily and just be DJs?
That'd be so sweet.
Well, speaking of that, I want to throw a bone to this new radio station called The Big Q.
Big Q.
It's family owned. I think it's 90. Really? Yeah. It's 95.9 or something around here. And they only play 50s and 60s, and they take calls for requests all the time. And they have DJ personalities that are just kind of old school. And they talk some random stuff, and then they play the music. They talk some random stuff, they play the music. It's just classic DJ work mixed with 50s, 60s radio tunes.
Awesome.
And it feels like a time capsule when you listen to it.
Another time capsule. Is that the phrase of the day that pays?
Right. No, I think it is, because I'll tune it on, man. And I've noticed about that earlier stage in rock and roll, they really had a lot human elements, like the background vocals. Their bassists and their drummers a lot of them would incorporate background vocals while their bassist and their drummer would be, keying along.
Definitely.
I guess keying would be for pianos, but they're staying on key.
Right.
And they were doing background vocals, and nowadays it just seems like we have these, I want to say technotronic bebop, where everything's kind of like dunce, 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 like a very militaristic, like
you just make it's easy to record and like make a loop, and then you just build off every loop. Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you, man, you got to get out of that war zone. And I'm sorry I left you there, but
it's ridiculous.
I mean, it amazes me that you are willing to put your life on the line for this show. And, you come in
to do it.
Well, you come in and you clean. It just amazes me, your work ethic and your just how gullible you are. But
not gullible.
I never said I may have said gullible, but perhaps I was trying to say something better, like how great and fantastic you are.
Oh, it's an acronym. Gullible is an acronym. What is the gullible an acronym for?
I think it's like great under definitely not under
just come back to me on that acronym you were talking about earlier.
It'll be on the chalkboard next time you walk into the studio back in the States.
Thanks, man. So hopefully I get some ribs tomorrow, some pig ribs. We don't eat beef ribs. Who eats those?
A lot of people. I mean,
I know, and I just don't like them as much. Pork, man, give me pork. Give me pork or give me death. Give me bacon or give me death.
Preach, brother. Preach.
I gotta have that oink oink. All right, gotta have that yummy, delicious other white meat. Oh, that's baby. Sorry, that's
other white meat.
The other white meat is pork, not
like the one they hate so well.
The other white meat, baby. It's what's for dinner. Oh, hey.
Like the old Bates Motel.
Oh, did you watch that? I heard it was really good.
No, but I keep seeing like how popular Game of Thrones really truly is. Everybody is watching it.
I had to hide this from everybody.
I may have to like break it down because there must be some type of underlying factor to why so many people find so much joy or meaning out of that show. Because
it shows, well, we don't understand this, but it shows every side of everything. But you still but you still happen to like everybody for what they're doing.
So yeah, is the show like character driven?
Dude, it's awesome. You have to start it. Like, okay, so I never said this on air, and I haven't said this to many people, but I restarted it about 4 weeks ago, and I'm caught up.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it's so addicting. It's so great. It's so great. I think I'm supposed to be sleeping at night and fucking watching Game of Thrones. It's ridiculous. I can't stop. I wish I was home.
Man, I watched
watching Game of Thrones.
I watched a movie with Paul Rudd. I like him in certain films. He's, but anyways, it was like the fundamentals of caring. No, it was like the fundamentals of caring.
Okay.
And I had a cosmic burst of like divine knowledge while I was watching it. I don't know what triggered it. It was like something about the film had this unconscious tethering or untethering. Because while I was watching it, I had this like inspirational moment and like there was a cat behind me. That all the living creatures, I mean, we know this. Like I've said this before. There is a difference between knowing something and understanding something.
Right.
The understanding usually comes from a direct experience. I believe, I think Galileo said it. You cannot teach men anything. You can only help them understand something.
Right.
they have to experience it. You can't just tell people something and they understand it. They just know it. It's trivia until you experience it. Anyways, I had an understanding moment for something I knew. I was watching this film and it triggered this moment where I was like, wow, that cat and I'm this struggle of all the just compilation of genetic computation of all the years in the history of the universe in the making, the pinnacle of now, so to speak. And I just thought about how, Bob Ross says beauty is everywhere. Or, I mean, a lot of people say that, but, Bob Ross is kind of a illustration, literally, of that, and figuratively, double entendre.
Boom.
You really see, like, the enchantment of life, if you will. If you consider that you came from this person who was just like you, and they came from a person who was just like you, and the cat behind me was the pinnacle of all these other cats that struggled up until this moment to bring me now, to bring me here. And everything around you is that. It's the struggle, the great beauty, the overcoming of all odds, the pinnacle of now.
Boom.
But yeah, I had a moment while watching that film. You ever have that where a film will put something into perspective? Because, I mean, that's what art and expression is supposed to do.
Right.
It's supposed to give you those moments of, whoa, yeah.
I think sometimes movies do that for me. I think more or less it's just experiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, those are even more powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I just had that when I was watching The Fundamentals of Caring, because it does a few things in that movie. For one, it puts you in this position to be like, oh, I don't have it that bad. It does a nice job of providing that. Mm-hmm. And it becomes inspirational because you get to watch a character go through troubles that you would never even have to think about going through because you're fortunate enough to be who you are.
Yeah.
And then you think about later on, as the film progresses, of all the different struggles everything around you has faced, but yet it's still there, and it's so beautiful as it is what it is in front of you. And everything's kind of this living sculpture of magnificence, and it's coming from the rear view mirror, and now it's right side by side you. Like, it's just incredible how everything has evolved and how it has so much integrity and so much beauty. And that's
Very
just
true.
it.
Mm-hmm. It's the complete opposite of beauty.
Apathy.
Maybe. No, so General Mills recalled all of its flour for like the past, I don't know, 6 months at least, right?
Oh, wow. Jesus, Whoa. Get down.
Artillery. I think that was artillery strike. Anyway, so they recalled all their flours, all different kinds of flour, because of a E. coli A outbreak. Now,
you said this is General Mills, right?
General Mills. It started in Nebraska, but definitely comes through Minnesota and it's worldwide.
Is Kellogg's a part of General Mills?
No. General Mills is, well, maybe.
Okay.
They might get their shit from General Mills, but it's raw flours. It has to, once you cook E. coli to a certain point, it still dies anyway. We have E. coli in our bodies, but this specific strain is like deadly. So if you don't, this is why they're saying don't eat raw cookie dough right now. It's because we don't know.
I read that.
Yeah, because they don't know if this particular strain of E. coli, they found it, but they don't know if it's where it is or everywhere. Okay, so we had to throw away.
I'm glad you brought this up.
We had to throw away thank you. Well, we had to throw away 165 pounds of flour We had to throw away all of our chocolate chip cookie dough because of the fact that we slow cook our cookie dough, right? It doesn't reach an internal temperature of 155 or more because of the slow cook that we put on them to make them like melt and spread out rather than cooking them fast and they just come out anyway. So there's a few things that we don't, and then we realize like this whole time, the past 3 weeks, 6 weeks, the whole time we've been working this season, we've made how much pizza, and every time we make pizzas, the flour just like goes into the air. Like we beat ourselves off at the end of the night, and poofs of flour is coming off of us, right? How how strong do we have to be against E. coli or against some, form of anything, bacteria or sickness? How strong do you have to be to fight against it? Like, what if I have it right now?
You probably only need about like one branch of the military to fight it.
No, like really, what if I breathed it in within the past, like, I don't know,
probably the Air Force,
4 days?
No, I think you'd be fine. I mean, when you ingest it, that's when it really is, problem.
What if I'm breathing it in and then it's like
but I mean,
but no, I mean, I did honestly, I did have raw cookie dough the other day too. But
I wish we weren't so early on. We had a lot of kind of dead air because we didn't have much material. But now that you're talking about this, you're kind of opening up this little box that I want to start digging out ideas from.
You can't put Pandora back in the box, man.
Yeah, don't open that box. It belongs to Pan, and she alone will compose the symphonies for man.
And Dora the Explorer.
Yeah. Swiper, no swiping. No, flour, man. I mean, because for instance, if you have like raccoons in your garage and they take a shit, the poop, the particulates in the poop, when you sweep it, you'll get the bacteria that dwells in their gut and stuff. And I guess it's highly toxic to humans. This goes with any type of fecal excrement. So why did you think that flour would have the same type of potency, perhaps?
Well, I mean, if it's in there, it's carrying it. So
I just think flour is so light that, I suppose if you're, throwing it around,
it's just, it's literally airborne. Everywhere you look when you're done making pizza dough, it's covered in white dust. So how you're breathing it in, you're walking through the air that's filled with it. It's just crazy. Like,
well, I think you'll be fine.
No, I know. I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying it's just crazy that they're calling. I wanted to say it's like the past like 3 years or something worth of flour.
Wow, that must be. You know what's funny? People must just be lackadaisical. Did you hear about the biggest vehicle recall in history with like Honda and I think like Chrysler? Anyways, it has something to do with like the airbags or something exploding.
Huh?
But yeah, it was the biggest vehicle recall in history.
Wow.
And so yeah, you hear a lot about these recalls occurring, and hopefully people aren't getting lazy on the job, and our food starts becoming harmful because people are just cutting corners.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess.
But this brings me up to cookie dough. I saw an article and it said, "Don't eat cookie dough. You never should eat cookie dough. Cookie dough is bad." And it must have been because of this, now that you bring up the cookie dough part. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I used to eat cookie dough when I was younger, and I loved it.
All the time.
It was delicious. In fact, it still is delicious. I just don't stoop to that level.
I did the other day just because I wanted it that bad. Because I told you, I don't eat much sugar. So I get these like certain times, and I work next to a baker all the time. But she pulls out this sheet pan, and it's filled with probably 200 scoops of cookie dough just frozen, and it's about to, she's going to start thawing it and putting it in the oven. And I looked at all those perfectly same shaped, same size scoops of chocolate chip cookie dough, and I said, I want one of those. I waited about 5 minutes, and then I took 2 bites, at the same time, you took that one little bite and then you're just like, oh my God, and you take that bigger bite. Dude, it was some of the best stuff I had put in my mouth. And I don't care how dirty that sounds.
It was
What a
good.
nice ball I put in my mouth. It was delicious. And it
Well,
was
shit. See,
sugary as fuck.
that's
It was
just it.
great.
Like they're always like, "There's raw eggs in cookie dough," and I'm like, "I know, it's delicious."
It's great. It's wonderful. I'm so glad that these raw eggs have come together with these chocolate chips, sugar, probably brown sugar, flour.
Well, and
And
in fact, when I was younger, I would look forward to the cookie dough more than the cookie.
dude, yeah, my mom wouldn't even bake the cookies or bake the brownies. We'd just eat the mix.
Well, and I remember too when around Christmas time they always had those sugar cookies with patterns.
Oh, bro.
I know
Those. Yeah.
some terrible, terrible dietary habits, but man,
But
what a treat! What a
so,
treat!
what a treat. You make me want to go buy some cookie dough right now and just chow.
Well, that's exactly when I saw that article. I just immediately was like, "Screw you."
That's what I did. That's like the day after I saw. I didn't like read the article. I just said why you shouldn't eat cookie dough, and I think the next day is when that happened. And like had to
In
eat
my
cookie
head, I
dough.
was like, "I've been fine all these years. It's delicious.
It's delicious. All right.
Lay off me. I'm starving."
That's just, that's just like eating a hot dog without heating it up. Sometimes you just want that cold one right out of the fucking the package.
Right? Yeah, that's the funny part about certain foods. A lot of people prefer them, in a different way.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, but so good and so true.
Just like I still haven't kicked my. Whenever I am really hungry, I'm like, I just gotta make something and eat it. I still go with like a peanut butter sandwich because it's just so easy, and I've never been able to kick the peanut butter.
Hmm.
Delicious.
Well, it's good. We made these s'more cookies the other day. So it was like basically it was like a thicker sugar cookie with Nutella and then a marshmallow on top. But then we took the torch to the marshmallow, so it was like toasted.
Nice.
They were so good.
And
So
coconut, any type of coconut dessert, I used to hate, and now I love.
really, I'm
Yep.
not a big coconut fan.
I used to hate. How about that? Can you name any foods that you had to develop a taste for? I can name some off the top of my head right now.
There was
Olives,
two.
mushrooms,
Nope.
olives and mushrooms for sure for me.
The only two for me my whole life were squash and zucchini.
Oh, squash is so good baked, and
Dude,
so is zucchini fried.
they're all so good, dude. They're so good. They're so good for you, but they're so good to eat.
Definitely.
Couldn't do it when I was a kid.
Acorn squash. Well, it's because when you get older,
yeah,
your
that's
tongue
good.
starts to recognize the subtle sweet things, that the subtle combinations of
We develop a palate.
right. And I think acorns or acorns. I'm a squirrel.
Oh yeah.
Acorn squash and squash in general has that very fine balance of sweet bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
And the texture, a lot of people are turned off by the texture of squash. Kind of like baby food. It's like mush.
It's good though. It's like a sweet potato, and people love sweet potatoes, so I don't understand it. Anyway, go on.
Well, and I'm trying to think of other foods that I could not stomach and now I love today.
Did you like broccoli as a kid?
Love broccoli.
Yeah.
Mushrooms. I had to. Okay. For the longest time, when I was younger, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, mushrooms on the pizza. You ruined my pizza."
So can I tell you one thing? Going back to my my fix of my own glutamic acid.
Go for it.
That was one of the first things ever made to get the actual flavor of umami, which is like the other flavor that most people don't know about. So like the flavor of earth. You have salty, sweet, bitter, all those other ones. But this umami is like a whole different. It's like the newest taste, right?
Okay.
And monosodium glutamate, which is actually really good for you because it's 1/3 the amount of sodium as salt. And the bad thing is, it does make you want to eat more, but it's better for you. It tends to make that happen in people, like eat more, eat more, eat more.
Well, salt in general.
Well, yeah, but
Kinda does
monosodium
that.
glutamate for sure. Sugar actually does it the most. Makes you want to eat more.
Well, and one day I found out that mushrooms sautéed were almost a substitute for like a meat.
Yeah, red meat.
And I ever since then I fell in love with a sautéed mushroom, and mushrooms in general are fantastic. I can't believe I ever hated on the mushroom. You know what? There's a few foods I still cannot stomach, but they're kind of candies. I've noticed I cannot stomach the artificial flavor of cherry.
Yeah,
they never nail
or watermelon.
Well, the flavor profile of a cherry when you eat a cherry is so delicious, so delectable.
It's so different.
And then you have the cough syrup medicine candy.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's
actually, Jolly Rancher is like the closest, but it's still by far away.
Right, and I find that black licorice is a no-go still for me.
Yeah, it's all right, but
I mean, I understand it now. It's kind of that fragrant, almost a fermented bitterness. I think in a previous podcast, I compared black garlic to that. I would rather eat black garlic than black licorice.
Yeah.
And the red licorice, there's another one. It depends on the company. You got like the red vines and you got the Twizzlers, two different strains of flavors.
Twizzlers pull and peel is where it's at.
Oh, definitely.
It's strawberry though.
Definitely. And olive oil, just olive peppers.
She was a hot bitch.
I could never get around.
I shouldn't refer to her as a B word.
No, that's all right.
Olive oil.
You can refer to her as you like. But
okay.
I found around the same time I discovered the taste behind the mushroom, I discovered the olive being a great pepper.
A great pepper?
With peppers. Great. It's great on pizza.
That's true. Depending on what kind of olives you like. I don't like
green, black.
I don't like the regular like canned green and black olives. Those are terrible.
Moldy white.
I like the real like Kalamatas and Coquillos and like the Greek mixes with the dude. Olives are really good.
Did I ever tell you back when I was like, I don't know, 11, I would get ghost peppers from the store and like challenge people to eat one. And one time my buddy ate like half of one and then instantly started throwing up everywhere.
You never told me that.
Hilarious. If you ever want to don't do this. If you're stupid and young, perhaps you can get away with it, but don't do it now. But some people are so sensitive to heat that their gag reflex starts to go crazy, and they just start puking.
Well, no, it's just like your stomach. When you eat it, though, your stomach can't process it. So your stomach wants it to get the F out of your body, Get the fuck out.
Rejected.
Yep. All right, man. Hey, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to put on this new body armor. They say I just got shot. I didn't feel it, but it's definitely happening up here. It's getting dark. People are like they're giving me these night vision goggles.
Well, I suppose you're in a different time zone here.
Who are these people that you surrounded me with?
There's some NGOs, and they're third-party contractors. The Blackwater guys. They're kind of like
I heard about them.
Yeah, they're kind of like the Blackwater guys, but I don't know if they're as skilled. So I found them on Craigslist, man, and I think they're a security apparatus, but I don't know. So you're on your own, man.
Shit's gonna go down tonight, man.
I left the treasure map,
I'm
and
just
I hope you
happy.
can find it.
I'm happy you're safe, man.
Oh, I'm always safe.
Yep, it's true.
And
That's one thing I know about you, Mr. Hawkins. Is you're always safe. You're in a Prius or in your
always safe,
mansion.
and I'm always, double checking things, checking if I lock the door, reading labels 3 times before I apply anything or eat anything.
Yeah.
You just never know, especially in my line of work. Being a radio personality, people are out to get you, and you just got to keep a watchful eye on the crooks.
Yeah, there's things you gotta know about this world. Some things is like freedom isn't that free, So
Exactly.
I just want you guys to have a good 4th of July. It's not a weekend really anymore. I guess it's a Monday, so it makes a Monday really cool. People hate Mondays, but not this year, right?
No, they love them.
They got like a 5-day weekend. Most people got a 5-day weekend. Isn't that cool?
Right. Everybody's excited. Though some folks are lighting off their fireworks tonight because some people actually do have to work on Monday.
Yeah, that sucks.
Which, yeah, that's a real shame.
That's true. But, they're sticking up for America, keeping that economy going so we can live and do our thing every day.
Well, heads up for the listeners if they made it this. I think many of them are just going to drop off when we just admitted defeat. We're like, we don't got anything tonight. Sorry, guys.
At the beginning, no, that's what we always do, really. We just kind of do our thing anyway.
There's like, click, these guys are fucking losers. No, something to look forward to. Hopefully we can get a few more guests on and maybe have Mr. Sam return.
Sam will come back.
He'll be back. He always comes crawling back.
Crawling. So, I'm going to head out. We're both heading out. You're already gone, but what I'm going to do is kind of bunker down for the evening.
Man, you got to serve and protect Studio 177666.
America. 1776. All right, man. Well, I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite songs, okay?
Do it up.
All right.
This has been episode 13, folks. Signing off.
Episode 13.
What would you do if you were asked to give up your dreams for freedom? What would you do if asked to make the ultimate sacrifice? Would you think about all them people who gave up everything they had? Would you think about all them orphans, and would you start to feel bad? Freedom isn't free because folks like you and me, and if we don't all chip in, we'll never pay that bill.